Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, Esper Control. That's right, we have trimmed down dramatically on the dazes. We're down to 1 daze. We're down to 2 wasteland. We've still got a pretty solid mana base, but I was able to work in some basic lands. Is this going to be any good? We shall see. But we are playing, of course, format All-Stars, Psychic Frog, probably going to get banned in a few days, and Tamiyo probably won't get banned, and I love this card and I hope they never ban it, but it is a very powerful card. And Tamiyo, of course, combos with Brainstorm. It combos with drawing cards off of Ponder, drawing cards off of Baleful Strix, of which we've got a Baleful Strix in here. We've got a Teferi. We've got a lot of cool ways we can interact. Of course, Orcish Bowmasters, 2 Snapcaster Mages. We're not playing Murktide. We cannot close the game like we can with Esper Tempo, which is my main deck. And by the way, I just played a FNM type 3-round tournament last night and 3-0'd it with the same exact list I played in paper at Eternal Weekend, and I got some footage of that. So look for that on the channel soon. Let's talk about the mana base, because we're a little slower build and we're going a little bit bigger and having both a Teferi and a Kaito in our deck. We are rocking 2 Surveil lands in addition to our basics, and I've actually got a 9th fetch land. I love playing 9 fetch lands. I think fetch lands are just absolutely amazing when you have a Brainstorm in your deck. So let's take a look at the sideboard. Very simple. We've got Containment Priest. We can go a little bit bigger than we could with Esper Tempo, because we're not going to be bouncing lands back to our hands as much, and we're not going to be wastelanding as much. By the way, I think that every control deck has to play wasteland. I think it's a mistake to not play any wastelands. And I think getting a daze in your deck is really strong if you're playing even 1 wasteland. Some people, like the deck that this is based on partially, Eternal Weekend, 11th place, the person was playing a single daze in their list, and they weren't even playing wasteland. But I do think wasteland is going to be good, because there are just so many lands that you need to be able to answer, such as Cavern of Souls, such as Urza Saga. So sideboard, we have a Containment Priest. We have 2 Prismatic Endings in addition to the 2 Prismatic Endings we have in the deck. We have 3 Hydroblasts. We have a Harbinger of the Sea. Because we can play basic lands, we can play Harbinger of the Sea. You generally don't want to play this when you don't have a lot of basics in your deck, but we have 3 basics. Then we have 4 Consign to Memory, best anti-Eldrazi, anti-Conforge tech. We have a couple Bowmasters. These are amazing if we go up against Beanstalk or Jeskai Control or something. They're like basically the best card you can board in. And then we also have a Surgical Extraction and a Grafdigger's Cage. So if you do the math, that's like 3 anti-graveyard cards. This might be a little bit light. We'll see. I don't like going up to 4 or even 5 because I'm more worried about Carnforge now and other combo decks than I am about the graveyard strategies. So it's also worth noting that a lot of people would play like a Force Negation or something like that. I don't think Force Negation is particularly strong. I also don't think Baleful Strix is particularly strong right now. At Eternal Weekend, out of the 11 rounds I played, I don't think Baleful Strix would have been relevant in any of them. People just aren't winning by attacking for damage in general. But this is a good flexible card, and it combos very well with Kaito because you can return it and you can recast it. By the way, I didn't read the text on Kaito. This card is pretty insane. You don't actually have to pay 4 mana for it. In fact, you can ninjutsu it in, which is uncounterable, if you attack with a creature that's not blocked. And I will tell you very quickly about a game that I played with Kaito where I attacked with a Tamiyo. This was against lands. They Maze of Ith it. And then I was able to, okay, so it's not blocked. I'm going to go ahead and ninjutsu in Kaito. And it didn't matter that they'd mazed my Tamiyo. I still was able to get the trigger, and then I got to draw a card. You get to surveil 2 and then draw a card. And then, because he's no longer a legendary creature during their turn, when they played their Karakas, they couldn't do anything about it. It goes back to my turn, and he's a creature, but he has Shroud. So, Maze of Ith, Kaito laughs in the face of Maze of Ith. Kaito laughs in the face of Karakas. That alone makes him a very strong, kind of long game, anti-control deck card. Now, we'll see whether we play against any control decks. I have already started the league. I've recorded 2 matches. I'm going to do recaps of these. I won one, I lost one, and we're going to dive straight into a live match because that's more exciting than watching recaps. But I will cover the recaps and like after we finish the league. See you in round 3. Round 3, we're up against, and by the way, that's not a typo if you're just joining us. I recorded the first 2 rounds, and we will get to those in a little bit. Make my cards a little bit bigger. We're up against elves. This is not like Elf Nadu as far as I can tell. It's just like straight up elves. This player has been playing elves a ton over the years. I guess they could be on something else, but it's like literally always elves. Maybe they are on Nadu elves. So this hand has a Bowmasters, which is a very, very potent card against elf strategies, especially if they happen to have Glimpse of Nature in their deck. I think we can snap keep this. Okay, they Catacombs, fetch, forest. This looks like elves. Birds of Paradise. That's fine. I think I am going to bolt the bird. There's a reason why bolting the bird is like kind of like a proudly held tradition among Magic players. Wow, Tameo number 3 is not what we wanted to see. I think it's totally fine to... I am thinking that maybe they have like a green sun for something. I don't know. I think it's fine to just go ahead and get rid of the bird. And we'll see what they play. I will regret having done this if they play out like an Allosaurus Shepherd, but I will also be able to Bowmaster said Allosaurus Shepherd. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm definitely going to be pitching a Tameo. Oh, so there's Allosaurus Shepherd. Speak of the devil. They do have a land drop. Do they have something else they're going to play? I hope it's not good because now I can't counter it. This is Nadu. So we are up against a Nadu variant, I think, which is sad because I love this. Oh, no. This is the absolute nightmare combination of cards. What a disaster. And their sequencing is immaculate, and I really feel dumb for plowing that bird. But, I mean, who knows? Like, they could have had a lot of other stuff like Nadu and stuff had I not done that. So I don't think I have much of an option here. I think I need to Bowmasters. I'm definitely not going to be casting Strix into this. And I just need to hope that they sacrifice the land and that slows them down a bit. I mean, they're definitely going to sack the land. I don't think they're going to let me ping their... But I'm going to attempt to do this, and I'll just go for the Shepherd. If they are light on land, they don't actually have any way to produce additional mana. By the way, when they give Shroud, it is going to prevent me from getting a blocker out of this. It will deter their aggression for a little while. If I go after... I think we have to go after the Shepherd. Maybe I could have gone after Sylvan Safekeeper and they would have let that happen. But they're not going to let me kill their Shepherd. I think there's like a 0 probability of that. Yep. No surprise there. All right. This card does shut off Glimpse of Nature, but it doesn't stop Nadu shenanigans. This was like the fact that they naturally drew this and now they've got like Buku de mana. Yeah, they've got another one. We're super duper dead. Like, there's no way we're winning this. This went from like incredibly favorable, strong opening to nothing at all because of the R&D mistake that is Allosaurus Shepherd. I stand by that. I think that it's way too overpowered of a card. And the only reason it hasn't been like in ban discussions is Elf as an archetype has been very weak. Okay, them going for mana tells me they probably have like a natural order or something. I'm not sure. Well, actually, they can just make enough mana to kill me with Allosaurus Shepherd because not only is it like an incredible enabler. Yeah, I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. It's also a win con. Like, anyway, you didn't tune in to hear me complain about cards. Like, if this were going to get banned, it would have been banned by now. But it is, in my humble opinion, like truly overpowered. Okay, so options. I don't think attacking is a good option. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just play out Tameo. And I think I'm going to play out a Strix. And I think we're just going to sit here and hope that they don't kill us this turn when they attack with a whole lot of very powerful elves. They have one card in hand. They're nowhere near... they can kind of go off a little bit with Sylvan Safekeeper. I don't think Sylvan Safekeeper is a broken card. I think it's a perfectly fine card. But this is the card that really gives me, like... just makes me not like the deck. Like, I'm convinced that Wizards of the Coast just doesn't want to allow people to play Force of Will. Because Force of Will, if you're like not like a very experienced Magic player, you're like, Force of Will, they counter my stuff. They're even like, I've heard of like people like Commander, like if you play a counter, that's like that's not cool. You can't counter people's spells. So there's like a heavy bias against counter spelling. And in Modern, they don't even have a Force of Will type effect. And look at the format. They need something like Force of Will in their format, I think. So I think we can just grab another white source. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be dead in a second. But we are going to attempt to draw here. I mean, you could definitely argue that I should have played the Strix first, just in case I found a plow, but it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, and here we are looking at our, pair of dead cards. Like literally our hand is blank. Unless they make some sort of mistake. Like if they attack with both shepherds, I will snap block, but they're going to be 5/5 shepherds anyway. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and concede. There's no point in playing this out. I mean, okay, we'll play it out. They don't have trample, do they? They're just 5/5. So I will block one of them, and then I'll hope to rip like unrealistic that we're going to be able to use spot removal because Sylvan Safekeeper, they've got 3 lands. Yep. We'll see what comes off of this. It's probably just going to be a Nadu. Yeah, there's no reason for them to show me any more of their deck. Like they could have just attacked. There's no way to get rid of Nadu because of Sylvan Safekeeper. I am going to concede. I'm going to save myself time and dignity and not just let them combo out. Even though playing to the clock is, a valid strategy against Nadu decks because it takes a long time for them to win a lot of times. Not this deck so much because they already have kind of the win on the board, but okay. Let's talk about the sideboarding. We're obviously I shouldn't say obvious because I don't think it's obvious, but I think it is very clear that these cards come in. I think Grafdigger's Cage comes in for sure. Grafdigger's Cage is very good against any Green Sun Zenith type strategy. And I think the Bowmasters come in. Cards that come out, the days can certainly come out. I think the forces can come out. Then we don't really even care about Allosaurus Shepherd. What I want to do is lock them out with Grafdigger's Cage and Container Priest to stop them from being able to do stuff or just remove their spells. Like we could draw so much spot removal. I mean, if you think about it, we've got 12 spot removal spells in our deck. Like an Orcish Bowmaster is effectively spot removal against them. So because we have so many, then I think Teferi could come out. Oh, wait, we can take the Nile Spell Bombs out. These are totally irrelevant in this matchup. Okay. And now with that, we can probably bring so Harbinger isn't very good because they're the Mana Dorks. I don't think we should bring it in. I do think we could bring in a Force. I think Force is going to be better. Or on the play, technically Days is probably better. Force is more flexible. I think we bring in Force. Yeah, I'm going to run it like this. So I'm hoping they don't have natural Sylvan Safekeeper because now I can't really stop them from just green sunning for it. And they realize how good it is against my deck because, they may not realize, they may not know how it just totally soloed me. This is insane. Triple removal. We are absolutely keeping this. I'm going to pause for just a second because I don't want them to think I snap kept. I want them to think that I'm laboring over it. So my sequencing is since I'm on the play, I'm definitely going to go ahead and ponder first just to get the momentum rolling because the way we win is we kill them with, I guess we don't have Murktide in our deck, so we're not going to be doing that. How do we win? I mean, getting a frog in play would be good, but really we just have to run them out of cards by answering every card they play. Okay, so the option is we could just get a Surveil land and then we don't need to worry about drawing them. And we hold up removal in case we want to use some end-step removal. But I think most likely I'm just going to Surveil. Like if they play Sylvan Safekeeper as their first card, then that would force them to sack it. Okay. I don't think I bolt this bird this way. I think I'll just hit it with Bowmasters since we have lots of other removal. So I'm going to go get the blue-black one. Wasteland is not that terrible against their deck because they can produce a ton of mana, but I don't think it's particularly strong. I've taken out, I took out my days. I think we just give them mana and we try to not let them run us over with cards. Psychic Frog is great. Psychic Frog has more upside than Bowmasters, but I do think it's fine to go ahead and bolt the bird here, and then we can play Psychic Frog and removal next turn. And I am main phasing this. And you may be asking why main phase it. I don't know. There might be some tricks that they can do to save the bird. There's a Hierarch. Oh, they don't have a land? Okay, they have a land. They just decided not to daze protect their land. I guess I probably wouldn't have dazed that anyway, but I think it was free to do. Quarian Ranger. This is what I was talking about, like ways that you can... Oh, this just returns a forest to untap creatures. It's a good card, but... So the one option is we could just totally nuke their board here. Tamiyo's great. So which of these do we want to remove? If we remove this, this is a source of mana, whereas this is not immediately a source of mana without... We don't necessarily... Okay, so we could remove the Quarian Ranger, and then we could attack it and deal 2, and then we could play Frog. I think that's okay. I'll just attack with both, do some damage. I'm going to go get another white source here. And I do think playing Frog is definitely better than playing out Tamiyo. There is a world in which they're able to somehow combo with those 3 mana. And then, like, our only recourse would be plowing in response. They have 4 cards in hand, so if their hand is land, Nadu, and what's it called? Nomad's Encore, then we could get seriously punished. If that is not their hand, then we're better off. I think the safe thing to do, though, is to play Tamiyo. I'm going to do that. Yeah. I mean, I want to put my pedal on to the metal, but at the same time, I just don't want to get blown out because I think we're probably favored right now. 2 mana. Springheart Nintuko is fine. I could just plow this. So it's targeting. Is it endowing anything? Or that happens when it comes into play. It's a separate trigger. Are they not bestowing? They should probably bestow that. I think this is a window where we can plow that. They can still tap for mana, but this... I'm not sure about the timing here. Now maybe I should have... Let's see. They have access to 3 mana if they tap right now. They're going to get a creature. But it does reduce the amount of mana they have access to by 1 because they would have the token and then they'd be able to tap. Now they still have 2 Quarian Ranger. Okay. And they're down to 2 cards. I mean, like their deck is very scary because it deploys so many threats so quickly, like all these 1-drops and stuff. But once they start running out of cards, then you do have options. They chose to untap their Noble Hierarch, so maybe they have a 4-drop. This is going to be a Nadu. This is a Court of Calling for a Nadu. That's unfortunate. This would have happened. Like, I don't think there's anything we could have done to avoid this. Like, we need to find another plow now. Well, that's good. That's certainly good. I'm going to go ahead and attempt a plow. They get a trigger. They can target and untap and get a second trigger if they want to. But I don't think there's anything in their deck that would prevent them from being able to do this, not with 0 mana. So they got a Nomad Encore. That's terrifying. Okay, they are targeting that. Now they have mana up. So yeah, if they get the Nomad Encore, the game is over. But they have to have both Nadu and Nomad Encore. Okay, so Nadu's dead. So they got 2 triggers out of it. Did they find another Nadu? What did they find? They found another... No, wait. This is their exile pile. What did they reveal? Okay, thank goodness. It's just a plow. I thought... Okay, sorry. I'm like freaking out for no reason. Okay, so now I think we just attack with everything. They don't have just a ton of mana. If they can Court of Calling or something and go get another thing, that's very bad for us. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we could do. I mean, we could plow to try to find another prismatic ending. Unfortunately, Ponder is not going to find us a land and... Oh, okay. So Ponder could find us... I think we are going to Ponder here. This may seem like super cowardly, but if we find another cantrip, we can flip Tamiyo. We do find another cantrip. I was hoping to find something else, but I think this is fine. I don't want this land at all, but... So we can just Ponder, shuffle, and then we can flip Tamiyo. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, Baleful Strix is not where we want to be, so I can happily shuffle those 3 bad cards away. Okay, we do find a land. It shouldn't matter, but it is a Surveil trigger. Plus, now they can't really attack. They can kind of attack her. Yeah, and what Tamiya will do is most likely just regrow a prismatic ending or something next turn. There's the Nomad. Do they have the mana to go get... Okay, we're going to lose. They had it. Yeah, I'm going to concede. That is super duper sad and frustrating. That they organically found the second Nadu. What could we have done there? Like, we could have kept the Wasteland, and then we could have wasted the Cradle. I think that was a play we definitely could have made. But this is frustrating because I feel like we should be extremely favored in this matchup. All right, let's go to round 4. So I'll just leave a little bit of commentary here. It could be that it was a mistake to board out the Force of Wills. They didn't actually have Allosaurus Shepherd, but they do have access to, so they've got basically 12 ways, probably at least 11 ways to get Allosaurus Shepherd. They've got the probably the 4 Green Suns. They have the 4 Court of Callings. They probably have an additional 3 Natural Orders in their deck. And then they have the 4 Allosaurus Shepherds itself. So it's like 15, basically. Or is that 15? Yeah. So that's a lot of potential paths to making my forces completely irrelevant, as we saw in game 1. So I don't dislike boarding, but the problem with Nadu, one of the reasons he's a problem is because, if you have regular removal, and I think this is why he was banned in Modern, other than the fact that it's an absolute tedium to play against him. I did beat him in Paper last night. Is unless you can counter him, they are going to get all value. They're potentially going to get several cards off of him. Okay, so our opponent is Cheesers. Unknown opponent, possibly on Mystic Forge. They've played it in the past. I think this is a snap keep. I think in situations like this, it is totally reasonable to open Archive. That way we have Tamiya plus protection. So I'm going to do that. And if they choose to waste this, that is totally fine with me. Love the videos. Keep them coming, said Cheesers. Thank you for your kind words, Cheesers. And I hope I'm not butchering your name, but I'm just pronouncing it the way an English speaker would. All right. This is not necessary. I'm going to put it in graveyard. And now they know our Esper identity. All right. Strand, pass. This could be Esper Tempo. This could be just straight blue-black. This could be anything. I think what I'm going to do here... this could be Stiflenought, my instincts say. I don't need the black mana right now. I'm just going to go ahead and play out Tamiyo, and then we're going to pass. And now we have lots of interaction. The reason I play this is because they could be playing Stifle or something like that, and I want to make sure that I'm maximally likely to be able to flip her in response to removal. All right? They're taking it slow. I'm fine with that. So Teferi would be awesome to be able to deploy here, but I think we need to prioritize being able to flip her. Let's go ahead. I'm going to play the land, and I'm going to attack, and we'll see what they do. If they're on white, then they may have access to Prismatic Ending. They may not even worry or care that she is a Planeswalker. But if I put a Teferi on the stack, they're almost certainly going to fire off removal. So I think I'm going to go ahead and chill. Next turn, I can play Teferi, and I can also keep Brainstorm up, and I can Surveil in step, and I can crack a clue. So I've got plenty of things to do. And it may be that they're on 4-color bean or 5-color beans, most likely. And it's worth noting that 5-color beans does not care about flipped Tamiyo. We're going to definitely need to be plussing and minusing her, or we may just keep her out and just keep, as long as she absorbs a removal spell, I'm fine with it. And she does. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this. She's not going to immediately be able to do anything. Sometimes they'll use 2 removal spells. I have a video where I played against Beanstalk last night, and that should be pretty fun. You're going to be able to see me. I don't think land is going to be an issue. I doubt they have Wasteland. I'm just going to go ahead and do like this. And then we can fetch in the end step, and instead of getting a Surveil land, we can get a non-Surveil land. Yeah, so that fizzles. And we drew 2 excellent cards in the matchup. I will be totally fine if they find a Prismatic Ending and they use Prismatic Ending to remove her. It's still a 2-for-1. They have 5 colors now, so they can Leyland Bind for 1 mana. This is a Beanstalk, which we counter in our country, control country. You definitely don't want Beanstalk resolving. It's just too backbreaking. I think Teferi will actually be pretty good here. Will it? I think it will. It'll be one more thing they have to get rid of, and I'm not sure that they're well equipped to be able to get rid of it, so I think I'm going to keep it around. Snapcaster is a guaranteed 2-for-1, whereas Psychic Frog is not necessarily 2-for-1. However, Psychic Frog has the potential to take over the game. We do have lots of stuff. Yeah, you definitely want to fight over this, and then I can just PE if it resolves. I do think Snapcaster is the pitch. All right. Well, that was close. You definitely don't want that to resolve. That's basically GG. In this matchup, like, they're the bigger control deck, and we need to be cognizant of that fact. So I'm going to grab the Undercity, or the Undersea, under the sea, Underground Sea. Let's draw. Okay, Wasteland's great. We can take them off white. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take them off white now. I think this is worth doing. Go to plus. I think getting Frog into play is totally fine because it does represent the ability to get Kaito into play next turn if we want to. The other thing is we could just play Teferi and shut off like instant speed stuff. I think that's probably better because that does shut off miracles. And we're just going to play Teferi and we're going to minus. And this will definitely... Okay, Spell Pierce. Great card. Compliments to my opponent. I think Spell Pierce is a solid card. And I think cards like Flusterstorm are not very good. And Force of Negation are not very good right now. Okay. So that was a 1-for-1. Ponder. Looking for land, most likely. This is where having that Wasteland really came in handy. Like, we knocked them off one of their two primary colors. And they'll probably find it, but we're like, they're using Ponder to go find land as opposed to finding Beanstalks and stuff like that. Uh-oh. Leyline Binding. Can't do anything about it. Yep. And I don't believe we have a way to get that back. If I draw a land, I'm just going to jam Kaito, I think. See, they would have already drawn a card off of Beanstalk if we not removed it. Of course, they would have drawn the card from Beanstalk and then they would have drawn the subsequent card. So yeah, I think I'm going to start by pondering just to see, like, if I can find a, well, these are not bad. Yeah, I think we don't want the plains, but we'll definitely take the Psychic Frog, and I am going to play a Psychic Frog now. I have no hope that this Psychic Frog is going to survive, but in the game against Beanstalk that I won last night, I did get a Psychic Frog to connect a couple times, and that was how I pulled ahead. Wasteland is fine. We've got a land on top. Another Leyline Binding. Can't do anything about it. But again, it's not a cantripping Leyline. It's a 1-for-1 Leyline. Taking out our Black Source. That is a little bit of pain. So I do need to find a new Black Source now. Yeah, because the land on top of our deck, I think, is like a Plains, if I recall correctly. So I'm going to ponder. Okay, great. We can get rid of these terrible cards. We don't want either of these. Daze is not terrible, but it's nothing to write home about. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take the Delta here and I'm going to deploy another Frog and hope that we've exhausted the removal. Okay, so we actually have to grab the Swamp here, which is not the worst. All right, Psychic Frog. Yeah. Did they waste us twice? How did that Underground Sea get in our graveyard? Okay, they're pondering. Yeah, Prismatic Ending definitely not at its strongest in this particular matchup because the Leyline Binding is so big and because Beanstalk, like, they've already drawn a card off of it. Another Leyline Binding. Well, they got it. It's another 1-for-1. Again, just want to point out that if Beanstalk were out, we would be so buried. We'd be so dead. Tamiyo is pretty perfect, actually, for what we want to accomplish here. So I'll just play her, and we're going to take it slow. And if we get Kaito out, Kaito is going to be really strong against them, I think. It'll be hard for them to remove. Well, unless they draw their 4th Leyline Binding. They are going to put a card on top, a Ponder. Okay. Do they have any other game actions for this turn? Like, they've been able to do stuff every single turn. They've been drawing gas. Putting Yorion in the hand. Okay. I actually didn't even notice. Like, this is me being a bad player. I didn't notice they had 80 cards in their deck. Yorion being able to blink these things is pretty bad for us. So I could Thoughtseize it out of their hand. Here's what I think I want to do. I want to attack with Tamiyo, create the clue, Kaito, and then, unfortunately, I don't have another Black Source in my deck, so I'm not going to be able to Thoughtseize in this turn, actually. If they Yorion, they can Leyline They don't have the mana that you're in yet. If I find the other wasteland, I'm definitely going to Kaito here. So I think we go to block step, and that's when I can activate. Blue, white, black. Kaito comes in. This is such a powerful interaction, by the way. So they're going to take 3. Now we can go ahead and get some value. Let's go ahead and surveil. We don't want this. I don't actually think we want either of these. Well, actually, if we take the land, then we can redeploy Tamiyo. I think that's worth doing. It's worth noting that, like, oh, but the Leyline Binding, if they can blink the Leyline Binding, we get a Tamiyo anyway, and it'll kill our Tamiyo. We can Flooded Strand for the Surveil land. I think that's probably actually what I'll do here. Just to, we'll put that into our graveyard, and, I mean, we could draw a Force. We haven't used our days yet either. I think so we have 4 hits in our deck. I think this is better. I'm going to put this into our graveyard. Yeah. Oh, we did it. That was freaking rewarded for being disciplined and playing 2 are out of drawing Force. Force is going to be very strong if they attempt to resolve Yorion here. That's fine. I think the only way they have left to remove this is their 4th Leyline. And they're looking for it in 60 cards. Other cards that are must counter probably like 4th Aerolingus, but it won't be that big right now. What I'm hoping to do is next turn be able to just keep Kaitoing and just keeping the draw thing, and probably okay. There's so they now have the mana. They could do like a huge prismatic ending. If they do that, I will pitch Tamiyo to protect. Oh, this is fine. We can prismatic end this. We've been looking for something to prismatic end, and they just play too many high mana value permanents. Okay, and they don't have another land. Wait, they don't have another land. I'm definitely thought seizing here. I think we start by thought seizing. I just want to definitely take the Yorion. Oh wow, they have a freaking stacked hand. This, like, if they have 3 cards. Terminus actually is really bad against Kaito. I think we take the Beanstalk, and the reason is they could slow roll the Yorion, and I do need to kill Yorion, and I might be able to find a second Thoughtseize in a turn or 2, but this definitely disincentivizes me from playing out creatures. Okay, so I'm just going to attack here, and I'm only gaining 3 life, and I realize that they just gained 3 life, but I think the drawing ability is way more important than just making Kaito slightly stronger. I'm going to bin both of these. We're going to hopefully draw a better card. Yes, that is actually a really good card here. And now we can pass with the ability to... I don't think we played Tamiyo. I mean, we could Tamiyo and then Flipper. But like, they do have lots of Leyline Bindings that they're going to blink here. I like the idea of having double Force. I'm going to pass with Clue Up. They're playing another Uro that they drew, which is fine. They're going to have a pretty stacked graveyard, but again, we're going to end. That's bad news. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and float white and then see what they do here. Okay, and now I'm just going to crack my clue. Wasteland, okay. Wasteland is not spectacular against them, but actually they only have 1 white source. I think cutting them off that white source is worth it. They actually don't have the mana to return Uro, and if we hit the Trop, they won't get any closer to it. I think I'm going to go ahead and start by attacking. We're just going to do exactly what we did last turn and hopefully surveil away bad cards. Thoughtseize is great. I do want that land, but I want the Thoughtseize this turn. I'm going to Thoughtseize. Well, I'm going to play this out. We're definitely playing it out, and now I'm going to Thoughtseize and see what's in their hand. Okay, so I think we just take Yorion. Yorion's too scary. And then I think we just waste them off white. That removes a lot of they're only out to Kaito, I believe. And then they could draw green and bring back Uro, but I'm not that worried about Uro because I've got 3 answers, or I've got 2 answers in hand. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And I think we probably are going to win this one. I definitely could have deployed a Tamiyo there. Okay, so now they have the green to bring Uro back, which is fine. Again, we'll just remove him. They're going to gain a bunch of life. I think I'm going to go ahead and plow with the trigger on the stack just so I can ensure that we can get rid of him. They have another one next turn, and we'll have to get rid of that too, but this is more mana efficient. Okay, and this also reduces the likelihood of them drawing something that helps them. They've gained a ton of life this game. Right. So now we can deploy Tamiyo with knowledge that she's unlikely to die. I want to play this out first. I'm going to go ahead and attack again. Just chipping away at their life. This could definitely go to time. I want to win 2 matches. I'll concede aggressively game 2 if they are able to blast this and stuff. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so they're going to take it. I would like to find another white card so I can deploy Tamiyo. I could deploy her and flip her. Let's go ahead and do this first. These are great. I'm going to keep both of them. Now I'm going to deploy a Tamiyo. And I'm going to pass. And if they want to try to terminus the board, that's something they can do. Then we will just flip Tamiyo. Here comes a white source. Oh, hedge maze. Okay. So we're going to definitely prismatic end the Uro. And they're going to start to run low on win cons. Okay. Beanstalk. I'm just going to force this. Don't mess around with the beans. Now their hand is Terminus, and they do have the ability to bring back Uro this turn, which I will let happen, and then I'll just end. They're going back up in life. They are getting a card, so this is a 2-for-1 against us. Do I still have a Surveillant in my deck? I think I do. I'm going to go get a Surveillant. I'm glad that I'm not naturally drawing this. That is a banger. That will basically force... Well, actually, they don't have double white. They don't have any white. Holy cow. All right, but we have to... First things first, we have to just get rid of this. Blue. White. And I'm playing against the clock more than anything. Hopefully they concede at some point. Kaito has been amazing. This is like a true showcase of Kaito's ability here. Let's surveil. Don't want that. Yeah. And then I think we do want this. Okay, and I'll pass. Next turn, I can deploy the frog. And hopefully speed up the clock a little bit. Speed up the inevitability. It won't actually make that big of a difference to the clock. I'm just going to deploy that. I'm going to go ahead and attack here first. Then I'm just going to surveil again. And they are just basically biding their time over there, running us out of clock, which is upsetting. But, you know, this is a control deck. We don't have Murktide. So I mentioned during the deck that we don't have Murktide. We're not going to be able to close. And now we're getting the... we're not having Murktide and we're not being able to close. Okay, so I think here we just go ahead and deploy this. And I'm not going to flip her. I can flip her at instant speed later if I need to. Here comes like a force. I think it's fine. I'm going to pass. That may seem like weird, like why not force it through? But I will eventually win just by attacking. I'm going to go ahead and draw a card. And it will be a wild card, unfortunately. And yes, they could definitely plow here. Okay. Actually, they don't have white mana, so they can't plow. Okay, we drew another answer. Let's go ahead and attack. The +1 ability is just not worth it, in my opinion, when you're playing against like people with exile-based removal. I don't want this at all. I think this is actually fine. Okay, and then I'm just going to play it out. If I play one more, I flip her. I think it's fine. It does speed up the clock, and then I'll just plus her. There's nothing left to fetch in my deck. I think I've fetched like literally every card in my deck. I think I can just pass. Yeah, and I had to tap I didn't necessarily have to tap off of Nile Spellbomb. That may have been a mistake. They could have big Murktide. Okay, they concede. Thank you for conceding, by the way, if you're watching this, Cheesers. I appreciate it because this control and control matchup, it's going to be rough. The good news is we both have our clock, so it's not going to end in a draw. I cannot stand drawing with control. Okay, so these come in for sure. These come in for sure. You may be asking, what about Surgical? They have Uro. I don't think Uro is a problem. We're not going to lose to Uro. If we're losing to Uro, we're doing something wrong. What we're going to lose to is them just running away with the game with Beanstalk. Plow can come out. I don't think it's good. I think Prismatic Ending is not bad, though, because it can hit a lot more stuff, including carpets. Cards that are less important here. I think Daze comes out. It's pretty bad, especially on the draw. I mean, you could argue... Oh, these come out. These are not good enough. And I would say Harbinger's great against them if we can resolve it. I mean, like, our entire deck is basically stacked against them. I'm just trying to think of... we don't need the island. They're not going to be going after our mana. I don't think... They may have wasted like once or twice, but that shouldn't be how the game goes, in my opinion. So I think we can go to 19 land. And we'll just use our wastelands pretty selectively. But I think if we can... like, this is a hammer. This is a hammer. You know, there weren't a lot of Prismatic Ending targets, but I like the fact that Prismatic Ending can hit. Yeah, I think we go full Prismatic Ending. I like this configuration. I'm going to ship it. All right, if you're just joining us for some reason and you just like clicked in the middle of the video, we are currently 1-2 in the league. We've only filmed one of those matches, but in this round, we're up a game, and we're up against 5-color Beanstalk. This is a really strong hand, especially if we can tech up toward Harbinger. Unfortunately, we are going to need to be fetching duels to get there. So we just need to make sure we fetch a swamp along the way. Harbinger's so good. They do have ways of kind of sneaking out of it. One of the problems with this hand is we don't have an answer to a Murktide. I think I'm going to ship it. I think we can do better. Okay, this is not a good hand, but it's not terrible. I'm going to put back the C. And we're going to hope to just hope Frog gets somewhere. What I'm probably going to do is hope to spike a force off of... okay, and they're getting basics, which tells me they may be low on land. If they shuffle here, I'll presume that they're low on land. I don't care about fetching island. In fact, I took the island out of my deck, I believe. But I do want to get a swamp in these first few cards, just in case I'm able to find Harbinger. Teferi's great. I do think we need to find force. I'm going to go ahead and just grab Underground Sea and Ponder here. And if they waste me, it's not that big a deal because we do have backup lands. Main thing is we don't want to be caught without an answer to Beanstalk itself. Now, these cards are so good that I think it's probably okay to keep them. Yeah, I'll do like that. And now I've got Protected Tamiyo, and it's possible, it's not likely, but it's possible that we could kind of race a Beanstalk if they have Beanstalk. Keep in mind, they're playing 80 cards, so they may not have Beanstalk. Wasteland is fine, please, by all means. Great. Okay. Now what I think I'll probably do is, they're not representing white mana. I think I'm going to go ahead and Tamiyo just for pressure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get... I'm going to get another Underground Sea here. And I'm going to deploy a Tamiyo. And they can plow it if they want. I think this is better than waiting around. Okay, they are responding. I would love for them to force this. I don't think they're playing Daze. If they're playing Daze, shout out to them for playing like the squirrely one-of Daze. Okay, Tamiyo's out. I think I wouldn't have timed my brainstorm that way. Like, is she really an emergency? Like, I only brainstorm in absolute emergency. Okay. We're low on land again. I don't have an island to ponder. I'm just going to assume that like they're not going to just untap, jam a freaking... Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and play this now, and then I'll attack. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is probably... I will flip her. They're not representing removal. If they spell Pierce, it's not the end of the world. I don't think that we need to worry about them wasting a third time. I'd be surprised if they even have 3 Wastelands in their deck. Also, like, they need their mana a lot more than I do. I can function on very low mana with this deck. Okay, we found a force, which is insane. We also found a natural swamp. So I'm just going to go like this. I'll draw the swamp, and that gives us maximum force pitch options. We're going to plus Tamiyo. We're going to pass. And I'm going to try to play quickly, because there might be a game 3. If there's not a game 3, we have plenty of time to win, I think. But if there is going to be a game 3. Now I am tempted to kind of like defend her. I am a knight who will fight for your honor. That is my love song to Tamiyo. She is definitely a strong card to have in your corner. I'm going to go ahead and immediately buy back a Brainstorm, I think. You always, like in Prismatic Ending matchups, you always do that. I think it's almost always correct to do that. Okay, I'm going to frog, and now we got some serious pressure. Now you might be thinking, but frog plus Tommy Ultimate is GG. But I don't think it's likely that we're going to get there. If this is a plow on frog, I will defend frog. I will defend frog. I think Teferi is something we can't even cast right now. Yeah. Beanstalk, that's sad. They were able to navigate around and resolve a Beanstalk. So we're not favored anymore, but we are attacking with frog, which is quite good. At this point, I am a little loath to put out another. I'm just going to attack and draw my card. Think about what we want to do here. Might want to brainstorm, shuffle back some bad cards. Our hand is freaking stacked. If I can find a prismatic ending, I think it's worth attempting to waste that or to end that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't want to put anything back. I'm going to hold. Oh, wow. So force, I mean, this is pretty good. They're down to 4 cards. It's possible that we can pressure them. I'm going to take the force now. And I'm going to pass with clue activation up. I wouldn't mind taking that card on the top, but I'd rather take like a random card than, just chill. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about this, and this is a real pain if it resolves. I think we do have to force here. And I'm going to keep Spell Pierce mana up just in case. So I think the card to pitch is probably Brainstorm because we may be fishing for an answer to something soon. Okay, they get their card. Basically like a 3-for-1. Pretty disgusting, but that's how Beanstalk works. When it works. When being the operative thing. For people who are like, oh, please play some more Beanstalk on the channel. I would love to, but I just don't. Not until the bannings. Okay, so. All right, Ponder. I'm going to go ahead and attack first. Draw my card. There's not going to be time for a game 3, I don't think. Oh, that's insane. I think we ponder. We try to find a force. I don't like minusing Tommy. Oh, this is insane. I will take the Hydroblast next turn. I like the Strix. And I think what we do, we can plus her now. I'm not going to sack her just to get back a plow. I'm going to chill. They're so far ahead in time. Like they have the luxury of time because I'm like deliberating on all these lines and talking out loud. And when I play without talking, it's not as bad, like in terms of time usage. I'm not like the fastest player in the world, but this is pretty scary. If we force this, it just comes back the next turn. I don't think we force. They're probably going to go after our lands. Oh, they're not. Interesting. Okay. But they did get back both the wastelands. So wasteland is definitely in our future. What I think we need to do is get pressure on the table, and then we have force. There's red. I'm going to attempt to force this. They do have a red up. I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. I don't need this Tamio. I do want to stop the binding. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Bowmaster. So at least we get some damage on them. I just wanted to make sure we were able to successfully stop that because then they could just exile the Bowmasters instead of going after the frog. All right. And if they drew a blast, there's a good window for them to blast before I will have my own blast up. They may wait. It would be crazy to wait. Okay, I'm happy to have that blast. All right, so we're going to minus here. Let's go ahead and attack first. I probably should have actually gotten force first, just in case they have like some sort of spell. We're doing a lot of damage here. I'm going to minus and grab force. I think at this point, it's totally fine to deploy another frog or a Strix. I'm going to deploy frog. Because no, I'll do this. Yeah. And we're probably going to start. This is probably going to get wasted. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Now I'm glad I deployed frog because we got the card immediately. And now we have a way that we can cast Hydroblast even if they waste us first before casting like some of the cards they might be thinking about casting that would be consequential here would be for their Lingus. This is another Beanstalk. Sadly, I'm going to have to stop that. Prismatic Ending. On the frog, we've got a lot of damage on the table. I think this is okay. Cards are not the issue here. The issue is just racing across the finish line before they can leverage fully the power of Beanstalk. They are constricted on white mana. Okay, this is probably going to put plow. Okay, well, I said plow after I saw it, so that wasn't a prediction. That was just me saying after I saw what they put. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. I'm going to go get a Surveillant in step. They're being disciplined about not wasting me. I know that has to be tempting. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not happy about it, but like that's not the fight in my mind. I'm not going to cast anything this turn, I don't think. Oh, that is insane. That is such an insane rip. Let's go ahead and attack. They could have endurance. They do have endurance mana up. I am totally chill with that. That's a 2-for-1. I'm going to get a Plains. Okay. They're going to take 3. Gosh. Like that just gave me the willies. Like seeing the freaking Harbinger off the top. And we can't keep Hydroblast up, unfortunately. So what do we want to keep up? I think we keep this up. This is probably GG if we can protect this. This is so strong. Look, like their mana base just went from 5-color to monochromatic. That is ridiculous. And we've got 2 additional power. Like even if they rip a sweeper, they're not going to be able to cast it now. Yeah. Wow. Thank goodness we didn't have to play game 3. But like just having that 1 in the board is so nice. And like being able to fetch these basics was nice because they could have definitely wasted me out of the game. Like the only reason that I was in this game, frankly, is because Orcish Bowmaster put like some pressure on the table so we could be attacking. Like they can basically ignore Tamio. Like they can just remove her at some point before she ultimates. Like she is kind of annoying because every other turn, it's like one every, like they get 2 cards out of the graveyard every like 4 or 5 turns or something. Like it's not exactly like every other turn you get a card. But yeah, like I don't feel like we were favored if the game continued to go. This was definitely nice, but this was the real nail in the coffin. Let's go to round 5. We're 2-2. Final round of the league against an unknown opponent who is mulliganed. So, I mean, this is a perfectly good hand, but we could just get comboed. And I want to acknowledge that. I'm not throwing this back. This is like really strong against the meta. Like threats, removal. Baleful Strix is great against Frog. Of course, they're mulling to 4. We're going to die, sadly. But now we'll know. So game 2 and game 3. I will spare you with my turn 0 combo decks are no fun for anybody in the format except for the people playing them and how they, shut out other fun decks like Death and Taxes and stuff like that. All right, Dark Ritual, Hyper or whatever, Necro of Doomsday. Turn 0 Doomsday, actually. We might be able to beat this. They have not made a land drop yet. 1 card in hand. So I think what could they draw that could win with no mana? And like assuming they haven't, let's think about it. So you could, and I don't mind Doomsday. I think Doomsday is totally fine in the format. I actually think it's a really good high skill deck, but I don't like Necrodominance. I don't like like those decks specifically, Belcher style decks. I don't care for them, but I just want to be clear that I'm not throwing any shade at Doomsday. It's an interesting deck. So let's think about this. So we could, they might have like some line with LED and Brainstorm. I think they'd have to do that. I think they're going to have to pass the turn at least 1 time. Well, they're definitely going to pass the turn 1 time. But are they going to have to pass a 2nd and 3rd time? Because they don't have both a blue mana from Brainstorm and the ability to, like, even if they cycled into their pile, which that would be like an insane mulligan to 4, by the way, if they also had a cycler in their hand. We don't have a really good way of ending the game. Like if we had Frog attack, that would be turn 4 at the earliest that Frog could attack. I'm pretty sure we have to disrupt them somehow. If they go for an early victory, then we have Plow, like if they haven't cleared the pile. But I can't imagine if they're turboing at Doomsday turn 1 that they don't have a way to clear their pile before they put the Thassa on the stack. Let's sort our hand by dead cards. Okay, these cards are dead. Like Baleful Strix is not going to accomplish anything. Baleful Strix's best role would be as a force push. I'd even argue Tamio's probably dead. So really that just leaves us with like Polluted Delta pass based on our current composition of a hand. I think playing out Tamio is pointless and it'll probably just give them too much information about our deck. that we're like, because they might assume we're Reanimator if we just play Under City Sewers or Underground Sea Pass. We probably actually want to... Meticulous Archive is sadly in our hand. That's definitely what I would want to fetch with Polluted Delta. I'm going to look at their exile pile real quick. So we're going to do our BCD. So I'll type it over here so you can see it. It's BCD. Oh, we drew a land for turn. That's not a good sign. BCD FOP. So Buffalo Chicken Dip FOP. An overly dressed person. Okay, so... Oh, wow. They're playing Unmask. They're like really all in on like a Doomsday. Why would you play Unmask and Doomsday? I've never seen that before. And then they are Spoils of the Vault. Okay, Spoils of the Vault. I've seen that more than once recently. I never saw it, and then I've seen it like twice in 1 week. Okay, so let's count their forces. Okay, so days 1, 2 dazes. I'm doing this out of order. In terms of so BCD, so we have to be disciplined and not jump around. So Brainstorm, they have LED outside of their pile. Interesting. Like all their fast mana is here. They must be betting on multi-pass the turn line. There's one Brainstorm. I refuse to believe that they would play less than 4 Brainstorms. So where the heck are the other Brainstorms? Are they in the pile? I think what they're going to do is just land Brainstorm, or something like that. The best card we can find is probably actually like a Wasteland, because their artifact mana is out here. They're going to try to win with regular artifact. I wouldn't be surprised if their pile was like Brainstorms, lands, and their Thassa's Oracle. They don't have Cavern in. Other observations, like Super Turbo, they're playing 3 Personal Tutors. So I didn't see any removal in here. No Fatal Push. The O stands for Oracle, so I don't see a second Oracle. And then the P or the F stands for Force. We counted that. So 1, 2. Is there 3? They have mismatched forces. That threw me off a little bit. So I think they have a force either in hand or in pile. Yeah, and then so we counted the days. They could have a days in there somewhere, like if they have a 4th days, but I doubt that. So I think it's probably Brainstorm, Force of Will, Oracle, and probably 2 lands, including... Okay, so here's my theory. BS, Oracle, Force of Will, and then that's like probably in hand, because I don't think they would put that in their pile. And then Caverns, and then another land. And that means 1 unknown card. I'm really not sure what it would be. It could be a second Oracle. That would make sense. So, based on this knowledge, I think the correct thing to do is probably just Meticulous Archive, because I don't think they can win immediately, and just maximize our looks at finding like a good card for when we actually do get to do something here. So I'm going to archive. Snapcaster Mage is a dead card. By milling it, we're telling them a lot about the composition of our deck, but I don't think we have a choice. And now let's see if we're dead. I don't know how they would win immediately. Okay, there's the fetch. That probably was the top card of their pile. Man. All right, well, they probably have a Force of Will, so this plow probably isn't going to resolve. I do want to dig deeper, because if I can find a Thoughtseize probably won't matter. What will matter? Just a Wasteland, really, is what I want to find. Thoughtseize is not good enough, in my humble opinion, because, you know, they have some unknown card, probably just Force of Will in their hand. I think we mill this, and we have to draw to Wasteland. I think Wasteland specifically is the card that we need to draw to. And unfortunately, if they're smart, they're never even going to give us a window to waste, because they'll keep this out and then they'll play out their Cavern and then they'll cast it. We know their Cyclers are not in the deck though. But like I like keeping this plow up just in case they have a way to do something here. Yeah, our hand is not lined up well to beat this, but I think... What? Please go for it. Please go for it. They probably have... Well, they can't have Force Blue card because they've only got... They are so greedy here. Wow. Unless they have another Oracle in the pile, they are freaking crazy. I mean, I've got the white mana untapped right there. They must have a second Oracle. Okay, so now we really need to find a Wasteland. And I'll probably even Strix to find it. They're pile is in an unknown order. So I am going to go ahead and we have plenty of access to white mana. I'm just going to Strix here and hope to find a wasteland. The fact that they're still playing tells you that they have the second Oracle in the pile. Damn it. Our deck is not cooperating. I don't think we're going to get another draw, but it's possible because this is a randomized pile. It's possible that that we get another look. Like a Ponder would be great. A Brainstorm would actually be fine. Okay, so they have one card in hand, and then they have, if we can waste this, I think we can still win. I think it's extremely unlikely that the card, what options do we have? I don't think we have any options. I think we just have to Thoughtseize and hope that it takes something important, but it probably doesn't. It probably just takes like a force or something. They could, were we tapped out last turn? We were tapped out last turn, so they wouldn't have needed to worry about us plowing. I think this does nothing. And then they just cast an Oracle. Yeah, there's the Underground Sea. So actually Wasteland wouldn't have even done it. Yeah, we're dead, I assume, unless they're just goofing around. I think what we do here is we just play out the land and we pass, and there's no reason for them to fear. Even if they want to do something differently, they're not going to do anything different. I'm going to play this out. It doesn't matter. I didn't even attack. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Yeah. They had like a basically unbeatable series, in my opinion, like at least with our deck. Like I don't think there's any sequence of draws that would have gotten us there. Yeah. So we lost. That was cool. At least we got to think really hard. I'll be reaching for my ibuprofen here as we go into the second game. Yeah, we're not going to go to time or anything. They're on like a turbo Doomsday. I'd be amazed if they even pivot into having creatures because they're so in on the combo plan. So against this, I think Bowmasters is pretty good. Consign to Memory obviously stops the combo. They could bring in stuff like, I don't think Plow is where we want to be. I mean, they could bring in stuff, but we actually have pretty decent answers. Like we've got main deck Baleful Strixes in case they go the Murktide route or the lesser Murktide, I will say, because I think Murktide is way better than Baragoyf. But people are playing Baragoyf. I've tried Baragoyf. I swear on Murktide being a much better card. Okay, now Spellbomb comes out. Harbinger's not good enough. Consign only stops the final trigger. It doesn't do anything else. Consign is a counter spell effect that, like, had we had Consign there, that would have actually been pretty good. So maybe we do run Consign. All right, and I think Teferi's good here. I don't really need this land. I think I'm going to cut it. Actually, I'm going to cut the plains. I think that's the least important. And then we'll just bring in another Consign. And yeah, we've got lots of blue cards to pitch. And we're just going to try to stop their turbo. And if they do bring in creatures for some reason, we do have the option of bringing the plows back in. But I don't think it's going to be super necessary. Prismatic Ending, the reason I bring this in is they sometimes like have hateful permanents that they could bring in. They also, like, we didn't see green, but they could bring in like Carpet of Flowers. This is a pretty damn good hand. I'm going to keep this. I'm just going to open Thoughtseize. They're mulliganing. Please mulligan away. 4 cards. Man, I've never seen somebody mulligan so aggressively and so quickly with Doomsday. I feel like Doomsday is one of those decks where you mulligan like 1 or 2 times. But if they're correctly assessing that, like, we don't have a lot of interaction in our deck, we are a control deck rather than a tempo deck, then it could be right to do what they're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and just Thoughtseize here. Spoils is the only action card. We don't care about the mana. Like, I mean, this could kill them, but I think it's foolhardy to like hope that they're going to kill themselves. Okay, they played one of their 2 lands. So their hand is Unknown, Polluted Delta, Cabal Ritual. We're not out of the woods. We don't have like pressure on the table. I would love to find a frog. I don't think we need to keep up Consign. I am likely going to pitch that to Force. I think what we do is we just get this bad land out of our hand first. That is freaking fantastic. I think we draw and we have Daze Protection. Like, I don't imagine them drawing Daze, but they could draw Daze. So we have Force with Daze Protection. We also have Consign of Memory if they do like some, crazy thing where they try to put the One Ring in, which they're probably not playing, but that would be annoying. That would definitely be a way we could lose, is if they One Ring us. And I don't want to have to pitch Force to anything but Doomsday if I can avoid it. Okay, great. So we are going to get a chance to go get our other Surveilland and to Thoughtseize them. Suppose the Vault. What are they going to get? Actually, we can just let them do this, and then we can just Thoughtseize it out of their hand. So this gives them an opportunity to kill themselves. Okay, they just revealed it? Like, off the top of the deck? They didn't lose any life? Did they know that was there? That's crazy to me. Like, this is, I think, the second time somebody's named a card and just immediately gotten the card they wanted. We're going to rip it out of their hand. I'm going to play this out just in case they're playing Spell Pierce. And we're going to take their Doomsday that they worked so hard to get. And we'll pass with the ability to ponder and consign up. I mean, consign probably isn't going to get cast, but I want to say ponder for our turn. Just there's no reason to use it immediately. We're going to be looking for a threat. Okay, this is fine. What are the freaking odds? My goodness. What are the odds? How does this card work? They're supposed to pay life, right? They didn't lose any life on that, and now they found a second Doomsday. Well, that's frustrating. I think we do pitch consign here, because we are going to need to find action at some point. They're hellbent. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just crazy luck that they just keep finding Doomsdays. Okay, well, I'm not going to let them resolve Doomsday. You don't let them do that. Like, Doomsday players are so squirrely, they'll always figure out a way to punish you for letting them let the Doomsday resolve. Like, the theory is, like, there's always, like, you can play to certain outs. And yeah, like, almost always when I've been a Doomsday player, it's because I've, like, stopped them from being able to do all their stuff. That's a bad draw. Let's go and try to find a frog, shall we? These are bad cards. Actually, Brainstorm shuffles away 2 bad cards, but we're going to be drawing 2 bad cards when we do it. I don't think we want that. Please give me something non-land. Okay, I'm going to take a ponder, and I'm just going to... Okay, we found action. So Bowmasters is very much action. Tamio's action. Like, all these are good cards I'll keep. I think what we want to do now is deploy the Tamio, and we'll get the Bowmasters in next turn. And then Strix someday maybe. I'm going to play the land out. All right. And now we have... I'm not even going to flip her. I think I'm just going to keep cracking clues to draw because we've got a lot of mana. If they hold anything in their hand, for whatever reason, I am going to go ahead and Thoughtseize it. I wouldn't be surprised if they just Doomsday here. Like, just naturally have Doomsday number 3. Okay, so we're not going to crack these under any circumstances because we got great cards up top. Going to attack. They do have a card in their hand. I think Thoughtseizing here, I'm trying to think of what they would keep in their hand that wouldn't be played out. I think we can wait one more turn and we can keep both Bowmasters and Clue activation up. I'm not opposed to playing out the Baleful Strix. I don't think it'll be relevant in the match, but it could be. Vexing Bauble is something that's relevant. Please crack it. Okay. Thank you for doing so. All right. We've got a clock. And this does significantly crimp their ability to do, like, cycle piles. All right. I am very happy about that. I think random card is better than Strix here, and I do want to use this clue. I'll just grab another white source, I guess. And we are going to get a peek at their hand before they get a chance to use stuff because of the way they use their mana. Okay, Daisy is fine. It's not spectacular. I'm going to go ahead and start by attacking with everything. Okay. If they try to interact with this through like a Spell Pierce or something, that's good for us. I think we just take the Oracle here. That it's one less card that they like now they I'm trying to think of how to articulate what I'm saying, but basically like now they actually do need to put the Oracle in the pile. I don't think it's, you could definitely take the Dark Ritual there. Maybe it was wrong, especially when I have a Daze in hand. All right, I'm just going to draw a card here and we're going to keep hitting them. All right, another Tamio. These are, our whole hand is bad cards, but that is not a bad card by any means. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Just get extra damage. And their ability to Doomsday, which I presume is their only way to win, is rapidly being shut off as a out. And I think we've almost certainly won this game. Okay, great. I'm just going to draw. Tamio is just insane. And now we can waste them off a land. Not that that's like spectacular. This is another dead draw. I'm just going to attack with everything. They're down to 3. I don't see them winning. I'm not sure why they're still playing, but maybe there is some line that I'm like not privy to. I think I do play this out, and I think we do take them off something. All right. Not sure what they're doing over there. But now Dark Ritual, like we have days in case they have like the one ring. I am going to draw a card just in case. I'm not sure why they haven't conceded. It's kind of scary that they haven't conceded yet. Okay, and then there's no reason to play this into a daze. I'm not going to be late. I'm not going to be a bad player just because I'm so far ahead. Okay, and now we have plenty of outs. Like I don't know what they would have. We'll just let them die. If they're playing the clock isn't out, like I definitely, yeah, that was easy. And I think a lot of it is because they super aggressively mulled, and then we had force. Had we not had force, we may have lost that game, though. Okay. Not out of the woods yet. I think Consign is pretty good. We didn't see a single thing to kill with Prismatic Ending. I think we could go down an ending and up a Consign. And hopefully we don't get like just wrecked by Frog or Tamio or something because we did that. But I think it's probably safe. I'm just going to unmute for a second and sing the praises of this card. This card has been incredible. This was really strong in Eternal Weekend. This has been really strong just like in my my weeklies locally. It's just so strong right now. It's probably the best that this card has been in a very long time. Okay, so we have double Frog hand, double Wasteland. They're not known for playing a lot of basics. I think we can Meticulous Archive open, and then we have Consign with Replicate. But the rest of the hand is kind of uninspiring. I think we're going to mulligan this. This is also a pretty uninspiring hand. We don't have a lot going on. I like the Wasteland. Snapcaster is way too slow. I think I'm going to keep, and I think I'm going to put back Snapcaster rather than Teferi. Teferi is card advantage, but it's also like in case there's it's a panic button in case something bad comes out. We could go deeper. They started with 7 cards in hand. Every other game they've mulled to 4. I am scared to go too deep. I think I'm going to keep this. Yeah, and the fact that I took so long to decide, they probably are going to be like, oh, they don't have a force hand because they would have just snap kept if they had force. Is this going to be a turn 1? Vexing Bobble's fine. That doesn't affect us. Okay, good. They're passing. Okay, so Prismatic Ending could potentially hit a pedal. It's not great, but it is something we can do. Consign's a great rip. Actually, it's fine. It's totally fine. So I'm going to put this out, and we're going to get a Surveil Land, and we're going to keep Consign up. I definitely think they have like days, and I definitely don't think they'll just do like a one-turn pile thing. I think they're likely to Thoughtseize us or something before they win, just because Consign is so widely played. I can't do anything about this. I'm going to let it happen. It's worth noting that they are going to have to use mana to crack the Vexing Bauble if they want to force or daze Consign. Unfortunately, like this half of my hand just became blank cardboard. I think what we do is we probably go ahead and play a Strand, and then we have double Consign up. They are going to have to get through it unless they're doing some alternative thing where they hide Emrakul or something under the Hideaway Land. Let's take a look at their sideboarding strategy. Okay, still got the Unmasks in, puzzling for a player that likes to mull the 4, like playing Unmasked that like mulligans you further. Okay, so let's just do our thing. They are passing the turn. There's no reason for us to do this. Like we can go and go. Oh yeah, we should do this because we're going to decide what we want off our Surveillant, which we're absolutely going to activate here. So BCD FOP. So Brainstorm 1. Okay, interesting. They have 3 Brainstorms in their pile or /hand. Okay, C Cyclers. Okay, Street Wraith. Edge. Okay. Now we're going to do days. 1 days. Okay, it's unlikely that they would have. So I'm definitely getting Brainstorm and Daze vibes. Okay, Force. Did they just take Force out completely? They may have taken. I mean, how many Vexing Baubles do they have in? I only see one. So it's quite possible that this one Vexing. Oh wait, they're 2, 3. I forgot they're the new frame. 4. Okay, so I think they likely took out some number of Forces and Dazes for Vexing Bauble. Now let's do Oracle. Obviously, Oracle's not in here. Is Caverns in the pile? No. And then P is for Ponder. They wouldn't cut Ponder, would they? Do they not play Ponder? That's so weird. Why wouldn't they have Ponder in their deck? Okay, well, what did we learn? Likely Brainstorm. There's no way they have 4 Forces, though. There's just no way. They definitely sided out their Forces. Okay. So with that knowledge in hand, I think what we want to do is probably like waste them to cut them off blue. I'm going to get the Undercity Sewers. It doesn't really matter. Just in case we rip a Thoughtseize. That is not good enough, unfortunately, by Tomio. So if we waste the Undercity Sewers, we do run the risk. I don't think they have any more Edge of Autumns because I saw 2 of them in exile. It's doubly puzzling why they're playing Vexing Bauble in a deck with Unmask, because that's like a serious nombo. So I think they're just playing like a rogue build, and I would venture to say it's probably suboptimal based on like just thinking about like, okay, Unmask, not a great card in my humble opinion. Like it's played in as soon as people could swap Unmask for Grief, they did it. The only place you'll find Unmask in Legacy is in like mono black Reanimator, or like black-red Reanimator, or maybe some black-green Reanimator. And I would argue it's the only reason it's in there is because they are already playing for Force of Wills. Okay, so options. I think one option is certainly to just waste them. And it's possible that just wins us the game. And we can keep up Consign. And then next turn, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Sometimes cutting them off the land is enough. We still have Consign up. They could very easily stop us from consigning. Okay, Shelldock Owl. They are going to do the Shelldock Owl. So it is a triggered ability. I'm going to stop it. This means that they're likely drawing. They can't crack this bubble. Okay, we stopped it. Okay, I don't think they can win anymore. I think they probably have Emrakul in there. They may have a Thassa's Oracle in there still that they're drawing to. A lot of times, like Shelldock players will put Doomsday under there. Okay, so assuming they're playing a slow pile, it's faster for us to Psychic Frog than it is for us to Bowmaster. We can just go all in on Psychic Frog and kill them that way. I think that's better than Bowmasters because we saw their Cyclers are not in the deck. We can kill in 2 hits with Psychic Frog, whereas, so I'm sold on Psychic Frog. So they know that things are wide open and they can win if they have a way to win here. If they don't, we're going to hit for 5 and then we're going to hit for, potentially more than 5. But realistically, I'll probably keep some sort of like, if I can find a counter spell, then I'll keep that up. But I'm happy to pitch all this. I'll probably Ponder first just to see if we can find a consign. Okay, are they going to win? They would need land plus Oracle. They have it. We lost. Yeah, good games. Yeah, that's frustrating. I don't think we did anything wrong though. Like if we held the Bowmasters, that wouldn't have won. They had a nice backup plan. If we had not consigned this, they could have played an Emrakul. And I think you respect the fact that Emrakul could come in, even though it's not like super common. So yeah, we just had a pretty bad league. And this is one of the things where like, I think if we were playing Esper Temple, we'd be like vastly favored. Like the Doomsday matchups, my record against Doomsday has got to be like 70% win rate or maybe higher with Esper because you have so many more tools. But just not having days makes it really hard. Let's review these other matches real quick. So I did record several other matches and we'll jump into those. I'm going to start by showing you round 1 of this one. So obviously, like you already know the results, but like I got destroyed here. Okay. So they started by thought seizing. They took my frog. I still am not certain what they're on. I'm going to pop these out just so it doesn't move around as much. And We open fetch. We've got removal for like lots of permanents, but here's Brainstorm, and they're obviously on Doomsday because they thought seized. And not obviously, but like most likely. So we do get a frog, and Doomsday is not famous for being able to remove it, but they did have the daze. Again, we're not on a tempo deck, so we don't have access to daze. Daze is a very good defensive card as well, and can help you ensure you resolve your frogs. Strix is just terrible in like pretty much every matchup I played. I think Strix is unplayable right now in Legacy. I think I may have mentioned this earlier in the video, but of my 11 Eternal Weekend rounds, Strix never would have been relevant. Not a single opponent was attacking for damage. And yeah, we're just getting Doomsdayed here. And I'll spare you the calculation that I did to try to figure out what was in their deck. They just go for it. Like, this is turbo. Like, don't even pass the turn. We had nothing. We had a bunch of blank cardboard against them, and they oracled. So you can see why I didn't necessarily want to record these live and share. I was getting familiar with the deck, but I didn't regret not playing this live because it was not particularly fun or interesting. Okay, and then they Thoughtseize. They took our Thoughtseize, and we attack. Okay, I'm going to slow it down a little bit because I think this game was a little less decisive than the first one. So we get Tomio flipped, which is great. And then it's just like, okay, do they have Doomsday? They don't. They ponder. So it's starting to feel pretty good because we have Brainstorm in our hand. I always buy back and use Thoughtseize if I can against a combo deck. And sure enough, we can take their personal tutor. Let's take a look at their hand they revealed. So they did have Consider, and then they have Cavern at this point, Cabal Ritual, and Durus, which Durus is not like a super strong card, in my opinion, in the meta. And when they Durus, I think I can actually I'm not able to completely empty my hand. I do Brainstorm in response. I think I left the Prismatic Ending because I didn't think it was going to matter anyway. So they were able to take that. But so it's not like a 2-for-1. They Ritual and they just have Doomsday. And as far as card selection, they just randomly drew it. I think my opponent says that was a lucky surveil. So sometimes they just find and it's not like they're playing a ton of combo cards in their deck. Like their entire deck is structured around finding one card that they have 4 copies of, right? And yes, they're using Ponder and Brainstorm, but anybody who's played a cantrip deck knows that that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see the card. You could look at 20 cards and not find a 4 of, and that wouldn't be more than one standard deviation out in terms of probability. So at this point, I've got nothing going on. I'm thinking okay, maybe snap Thoughtseize to see if I can get something good out of their hand. Cause I do know that they've already played the Cavern. Oh, I think I snap Thoughtseize, and I can take Consider because they don't have anything else. And it does put some power on the board, which is good because I might be able to attack them before they can win if they're just naturally drawing through the deck. They daze, and this is very embarrassing, but on MTGO, you absolutely have to crack the fetch. For some reason, just reflexively, oh, okay, daze, I'll just fetch and I'll play for it. But once you accept and pass priority, you can no longer fetch, and so the daze resolved, and so I was not able to seize the Consider out of their hand. I don't think it matters, though. Let's see what happens. And you see this I just said, damn. This is not me saying some, word your children cannot hear. Damn is in the freaking Bible, right? It's a very old word. There's a magic card called damn, right? But for whatever reason, they blank it here, which is frustrating. I think they should only blank real profanity. But anyway, I just don't want you to think I'm all tilted or salty. I was just damn, wow. I didn't mean to pass priority. Okay. So at this point, they've got Defense Grid, which doesn't matter for our hand at all. And I'm just okay, fine. I guess I could technically remove it. Of course, we find bricks on top of our deck. I think putting the Strix back makes sense in the land. We're going to redraw anyway. But I don't want to draw this meticulous archive ever. Okay. And now Defense Grid is in play. Again, not a big deal in that we can just remove it, but it doesn't matter. There's no point in removing it if you don't have interaction, and we don't have interaction. So they're going to take 3 here. We can play the Bowmasters out and just attack them. I think I go ahead and keep up mana. I buy back a Ponder. Interesting. What am I looking for here? So I saw 3 cards that just flashed really quick. I'm not able to tell you what they were. I think I saw a Teferi. I'm fetching here, and I think we just Strix just to get more power on the table. And then, of course, this gives them a turn, and they're going to win now. consider, they get to draw a card. So that consider may have been consequential. It may have given them an extra turn, but they were going to go for it anyway. They have the safety to go for it. So even if they only had 2 cards in their pile, but like consider may have helped them find this. So yeah, it may have been consequential, the fact that I didn't fetch with the days on the stack, but just a lesson to everybody out there. This one is listed as 1/1/1, but I definitely won this. Okay, so I can't remember what we played against. Let's take a look. I think this might be one of the good ones. By one of the good ones, I mean one of the interactive fun ones, as opposed to just desperately trying to not die to a combo. Okay. Oh no, this is not a good one. I remember this game. So my opponent decided that they were gonna they're playing just mono blue Vision Charm, and this is actually a pretty miserable game. I'm not sure why it's listed as tie, but I decisively beat them. They did get so basically I just am hitting them with Frog. They have no removal in their deck. Pro tip: play removal in your deck if it's trying to be a fair deck. Like Vision Charm and blinking their creature for a turn does not count as removal in my book. But yeah, I'll spare you. But basically, it was touch and go. They got like some dreadnoughts in play and stuff. But this deck plays tons of removal, and I think the only reason I lost game 2 was because I just got a bad distribution in terms of. Wait, did I lose game 2 or did I lose game 1? So I end this and then they just scoop. Okay, we'll go ahead and go over this. It's not that many minutes. Okay. Then this one. And the other thing is my opponent was multi-queuing like hardcore, and it's not even showing me the game. Well, I will spare you, but basically game 2, I think they got a Murktide that I couldn't answer. Let's see if game 3 works. And at this point, my opponent's got 6 minutes on the clock, and they're playing the fastest deck ever. And it wouldn't be a problem if they got up and went to go get to the bathroom or something. But every single time I press priority, it's 2 or 3 minutes. It's ridiculous. And my opponent never communicates with me or anything. I ask them some questions hey, is everything okay over there? They just don't respond. So, if definitely try to avoid this person. I don't think you can. I don't think you can block anybody on MTGO. Otherwise, you'd have people that are just blocking all the top trophy leaders, so they never have to play against them and farming trophies themselves. But yeah, I hope to never play against this opponent again. No shade to them, but they were multi-queuing, and it was clear they were multi-queuing or they were distracted at work or something, and they never apologized. They never communicated in any way, and the game ultimately won. I won the game handily. After removing their Murktide, their final way to win. And they never conceded or anything like that. And they just, yeah, it's 42 seconds. I think the game ended, and I'm not sure why it's listed as a tie in MTGO, but I won. So, okay, let's go to the good games. Okay, these are some cool games that I played. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, wait. I think this Hatteraxy is the first one. And then I'm going to do these. And then the really good one is versus Empiricism, who's a super chill player. Okay, let's do Hatteraxy. Okay. And the reason why I'm showing you these is because I'm not sure that I'm going to play this deck again for a while. If you haven't noticed my opinion of Kaito and Teferi and stuff like that, and not playing 4 Wasteland 4 days in this meta, is that you should be playing 4 days and 4 waste in this meta. Even if you're a hardcore control player, I think control is dead, and you really have to play. Control is dead until they ban Vexing Bobble and Frog, and hopefully something out of the Reanimator deck other than just Frog. But okay, so this is an unknown opponent, and we keep what looks to be a very flexible hand that is very brittle to Wasteland. But I mean, it's not totally unresilient to Wasteland. So they do nothing, which is sus. Okay, you're not doing anything? I think what they're trying to do is get up to 8 cards so they can discard. No? Oh, they're on freaking oops. Yeah. No, they're on Necrodominance. Okay. So again, I'll spare you my whole thinking about this. They packed, and I'm like, cool, your pact resolves. All right, now I'm going to force it. And they just take themselves up. They do us a favor. All right. And it was lucky that I had double force hand there, because otherwise I would have been dead and the game would not have been very fun. Not that it was a lot of fun. Okay, this is a great hand because it has Thoughtseize, and I'm hoping that they pass the turn at all. But once I see this, I'm like, okay, I'm dead. And so they have Vexing Bobble and all the degenerate stuff, and then they draw 19 cards, and they actually do get it So sometimes they don't. It's actually surprising to me how frequently they don't get it with this. So let's go to game 3. All right. And in game 3, I think this is a longer game, if I recall. These were earlier in the week. I've worked like 60 hours this week. Like I'm sorry I haven't been, like I uploaded a lot this week, but it's because I was able to like get a lot of leagues in over the weekend, and I'm hoping to get some leagues in this weekend because I want to play with Frog as much as possible before they ban it forever. Yeah. So here I've got such an interaction heavy hand that I'm comfortable going ahead and tapping and putting Tamiyo out there. Also, I know they don't use any soft permission. I have to force this. So now I'm left with just 2 dazes. They Cabal Therapy. And my thinking on Cabal Therapy is generally like, this is probably just going to be, some card that I can stop, but I don't want to take my chances. So I think I do daze. No, wait, I don't daze? I'm crazy. Okay, and this is the Necro, and of course I daze that. So in retrospect, it was probably correct, like obviously knowing what I was. Oh yeah, just daze the Necrodominance. But this was loose in the sense that they could have, exiled the Spirit Guide, but thankfully they didn't have it. Again, like I had like a really strong interactive heavy hand, and they still almost got me. And then from here, if I recall, it's just like grinding, basically. Gradually building up. I found a second force. Now we got force days. I let them do all this cantripy stuff, knowing that they're unlikely to ever find, because this is a true glass cannon. Like it's extremely unlikely they're going to get a second shot at going off. And now I'm just, you don't try to ultimate Tamiyo. You just plus and minus her a whole lot and try to get stuff going. Filtering. They use this volcanic awakening thing to get rid of some bad cards. I'm like, sure. And then they packed here, and now Pact is like, sure, you want to Pact? Now I'll force. And it doesn't matter what I do. It just matters that they killed themselves with Pact. So again, not a fan of the deck. All right, but we do get some good matches in. So don't think you're going to just hear grumpy old me, like anti-turn 0 combo player, be excellent. Okay, this is a great hand against an unknown opponent. We've got Force, we've got Triple Frog, and if they're on some sort of control build, this is how you overpower control, even when you're not big control, you're medium control. Now I realize, they're on Nadu. So I can brainstorm here. I can Frog. They do have Oof, which doesn't affect me, really. It does stop my Tamiyo clues. I'm feeling pretty favored here at this point, because if their best land is Dryad Arbor, now I can fly over, I can connect, draw a card. I've got Kaito, which is great. I just need some more mana. Now they Nadu, I'm able to force the Nadu. And I think here it's just obviously like, I don't think there's any other better play than just wasting the Cradle. I think it's too much of a liability to leave it on the table. Yeah. And they go ahead and block here, and I'm happy to pitch Kaito, which the problem with Kaito is, at least in this deck, is like the only card you ever really want to bounce with Kaito is like a Strix or maybe a Tamiyo. You never want to bounce your Frogs because they're about to draw you a card or trade favorably with some creature. We do get a card as a Thoughtseize. I can't immediately cast it. Nomad, so they have half the combo. I do waste, Thoughtseize, they have nothing. So if they just naturally draw one of many cards in their deck, Green Sun's Zenith, Court of Calling, Natural Order, or one of 3 remaining Nadus, or what is the other one? Natural Order, did I mention that? Yeah. So there's a lot of ways this game effectively ends for me. So I go ahead and play her, and I can flip her, and at least then I can minus her, and then like they can't attack her, or plus her. Okay, now I got a daze up, which is not enough to matter, but it is enough to shut them off. Green Sun Zenith, and they scoop. So just frogged them, basically. Game 2. So for the record, I think the Bant version of this deck is, the Bant version of Nadu is way better than this kind of pseudo mono green, like mostly mono green. And the reason for that is, like you can play a bunch of mana dorks and stuff, but your top decks are bad, and it's basically a bad combo deck in my opinion. But that doesn't mean you're not necessarily going to lose to it. Okay, yeah, here we go. And then they got the, and we don't have a lot of interaction in our hand, unfortunately. We're going to have to ponder. We find a Prismatic Ending. I think we have to end the Nomad here just to ensure we don't die next turn. Is that what I do? Yeah, okay. And we do have Force Blue card in our hand, but yeah, Spring Heart, I have to force that. Like with the Dryad Arbor, they can just keep making copies as much mana as they have, and they can create a giant army. And You could argue maybe you don't need to force that, but it felt like I needed to force that. Like that card has killed me so many times. Okay, yeah. And unfortunately, Prismatic Ending wouldn't have been able to deal. Now they've got the Kenai, and I'm basically dead on board. Like it's going to hit for 7 here. I surveil that away. My opponent asked if I board out Frog. I've never boarded a Frog out of my deck, ever. I don't think I've ever taken Frog out of my deck in any matchup, ever. Okay, this is not like a particularly strong card. What we can do here is we can just stun that. I think that's all we can do, and then they can attack. Yeah, but it's not looking good. And then they have what is this? Quarter Calling, and they can just go get Nadu or something. Sylvan Safekeeper, yeah. All right, and that's the game. Let's go to game 3. So this is not like the least close matchup, but cards like Sylvan Safekeeper are really rough when you're playing like a tempo deck or a control deck that is removal heavy, because it just protects their combo, and it almost always makes sense for them to sacrifice lands to protect creatures. And they have a lot more lands than you have removal spells. Here we get freaking Brainstorm locked. Brainstorm betrays us. I think I did probably, let's see if I sideboarded out a land. I usually sideboard out a land when they're not going after us. So you could say like I did it to myself. I brought this on myself. Yeah, there's the island. The plains is always in the sideboard, but I'm down to 19 lands here. By the way, this is how I sideboarded. I took out dazes because they're, even on the play, I think daze is not great here. Okay. Because they have anti-counter magic stuff. They've got Allosaurus Shepherd, and they've got a ton of mana. And after tapping several times, they do. That was probably going to go get Allosaurus Shepherd or Sylvan Safekeeper, so I force it. I don't like forcing a green sun for 1. I like forcing cards that cost a lot more. And we're just chilling. Like, we know we don't have anything coming. They found the Guy's Cradle. A lot of people would be like, well, why don't you hold the waste for Guy's Cradle? They have 0 card selection in their deck. There's a very good chance they're never going to find a Cradle. They'll see a Cradle probably in like maybe like 40 to 50, probably about 50 or 60% of their games. But like, there's a good chance that they'll never draw the Cradle, and your wasteland's just sitting there. Obviously, now that they've got all this mana, I'm not going to be wasting them if I draw away. Like, I would waste a Cradle, but yeah. And they cord, and I force, and I think at this point, like, I'm so low on resources, and I haven't found a land, and now they have a second sprint. So now, look at how crazy this gets. They haven't even fetched. They've got another land activation. I grabbed Digger's Cage, but it's very much closing the barn door, and they've got lethal already on the table with the Spring Hearts. This is what I said like earlier when like I will force Spring Heart. They can't do anything here to Nadu off, but it doesn't really matter because they got so much pressure, so I scoop. All right. Now let's jump over to Trout Mask. Wait, did we just play Trout Mask? I think we did. Wait. Trout Mask. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Trout Mask, very terrifying name. I can just imagine some scary 80s guy who wears like the head of a giant trout on his face or something like that. Okay. This is a really strong hand if we don't know what our opponent is on. And I think because I'm not sure what they're on, I want more information because Thoughtseize could be totally dead, and because I'm worried about finding my second land drop. So I do opt to go ahead and just surveil here. And that is bad when we have a daze, but this does give us additional looks to find a land. And we kept the top card, so I presume it's a land or ponder or something. Yeah, it's a land. Okay, great. So we're in a good place. And I think here, since we have the land, we have Bowmasters. They're on blue-black. Realistically, I'm not going to want to deploy Bowmasters in potential days, even when I have my own counter magic. I think it's correct to Thoughtseize here. Yeah, and I do. I'm not saying that like just because I did it, that was correct. But they have double Frog. They have Uro. This is a cool deck, by the way, the one we're up against. And I seem to remember this match being particularly like heartbreaking. Sorry to foreshadow, but I feel like we're like so favored in this matchup because yeah, they're a Frog deck, but we have like a lot of interaction. That's not a problem. I think Bowmastering here is correct, and I do. With this card, like, I mean, oh yeah, I remember why. I punt really hard in this match, and I'll show you, and you will not punt in this exact same way because it'll traumatize you as well. Okay, so Frog, I do have to force that because, like, I mean, you might argue like, oh, but you got Bowmaster's going to hurt them to attack. Yeah, and sadly I drew the plow, so it could have been wrong to force there. Obviously, seeing the plow. This results-oriented thinking, but I could see like just letting it stick around for a turn or two. Here comes the Uro. They're going to get pinged. I'm going to plow immediately with that on the stack. They force. So Uro is here to stay. And it does buff this. They start wasting our lands. I don't remember if they are able to waste lock. That's really a bummer because that frog would have really been a huge boon to us. They attack here. This gets bigger. And I'm of course, I'm saving up to like be able to kill with the Orc Army. So I attack here, and I know that I'm just going to let them hit me again and drop me lower, and our army's going to get bigger. They stifle that, which is a bummer. Then they waste us, and then they re-Uro, which is fine because it's actually good that they did that in terms of just making my army bigger. And here, this is a huge punt. This is a huge punt. Okay, so they're going to attack, and this is going to become a 5/5, and I could have pinged them, but for some reason, I decided to ping them instead of ping, and I had to force there to keep my orc alive. So I should have let them attack, and I should have blocked. But it wouldn't have really mattered because I would have been able to bring Uro back. So I think this game, probably the combination of the, super suspicious force on their frog, and them just being able to manhandle my mana base like that with 3 wastelands. So I kill that Uro. It doesn't matter. They just bring an Uro back. So even though it was a punt and it really stung at the moment. Oh, and this is kind of cool. So they play Phyrexian Dreadnought. So they're actually, believe it or not, bug Dreadnought. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to showcase this game is because it's a cool deck. And they use Scar Striped guy, Varls. That's not a very natural sounding name. It looks like he's a troll warrior. Look at him. He is gnarly. And he basically allows you to exile cards from your graveyard and put +1/+1 counter. So now we've got an 18/18 Uro. Fortunately for me, Uro doesn't have... I'm at 1, by the way. So every turn is basically like, okay, I have 1 mana, so I can't cast anything. Certainly I'm not going to be casting... And I had to block here. Then they brainstorm. And I think... I actually can't fetch or anything either, so I'm dead. That was a bummer. My cat just came in. She busted open the door. Okay, let's go to game 2. Still up against the guy with the terrifying name. So I think the way I sideboard here, we can take a look. Because I'd never played against this deck before. I wasn't sure exactly how to sideboard. But when I see Dreadnought, I'm like, great. I am like a, 4 plow and now a 4 prismatic ending deck. I took out my wasteland. And I took out my dazes. I just with all the mana they were presenting, I just didn't have any hope that would be the correct strategy. I think what I need to do is just remove all their threats. So this is a great hand. Baleful Strix is actually really relevant here, and Kaito pairs very well with him, but I have to mull him because I don't have mana, and I'm very glad I mulled him because they had the wasteland. So apparently they're playing 4 wastes. Ponder, we do find a land. I think we keep that. Yeah, we kept it. And then we're just going to hope to dodge wastelands. And sure enough, they play a land. It's not a wasteland. We can put out our Tamio here. And we have Brainstorm to protect her. They have Dreadnought. They stifle the Dreadnought. I'm like, cool, whatever. I've got Plow. And I go ahead and opt to use Plow here, even knowing they can daze it. And the reason is because I've got another Plow on top. And they do daze. And that's okay. So I draw my Plow, or I'm going to draw a Plow off of one of these. Yeah, Strix. Wait. It's not going to draw a Plow? Oh, yeah, because I had 2 different answers. So that was why I was like, okay, well, I'll just put this out there. I'll take a bunch of damage, but I will kill him. And now I attack here, and I think I do have a Plow on top. I think I just stacked it in a way where I wasn't immediately able to access the Plow. I guess I could have brainstormed or pondered to get it. Oh. I didn't have a Plow. And yeah, I don't find a Plow. I have lots of cantrips. For some reason, I thought I had a Plow in this. So unfortunately, I know that I'm not going to be able to access. My only hope is to brainstorm and find both a land that I can use for a white source and yeah. And you could say okay, I did find the land, but I didn't find the removal. So I think I punted this one. And I think the way I punted it was obviously playing Brainstorm in a Plow, and then I think Had I played slower, yeah, I would have taken a hit from this when but they wouldn't have been able to daze my plow, and they probably would have just forced it, but then they wouldn't have been able to deal with the Strix. But as it was, they had enough interaction to be able to stop me from interacting with that. So the rare death to Phyrexian Dreadnought when you have, 8 answers to Phyrexian Dreadnought in your deck, and you have tons of cantrips to find those answers. And if you include the Baleful Strix, you have 10 answers. So I definitely did not. I was like, after this, I had to it was bone shaking, like losing this, because I felt like incredibly favored. So this is not a proud moment for me. But luckily, we closed out the league with a pretty fun one. Oh wait, we have 2 more. So I actually 3-2'd this league. So even though I just lost in a devastating manner both of those 2 previous rounds, you're going to see some good stuff now to cleanse the taste of defeat from your mouth. So here, my opponent is unknown. I always like to keep force blue hands, and this, even though it didn't have mana, I like the wasteland. If they wasteland me here, I'm screwed. So I am going to ponder, and I do find a land. So this is fine. All our bases are covered here. Like, this is the dream hand. This is like an incredible hand. Our opponent goes Valk, and I'm immediately thinking, okay, they're probably on show and tell. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to chill and tune the narrative. So now I see that they are actually on Jeskai, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to definitely waste now. Yeah. And then they fetch, and they are playing on basics, which Jeskai is apt to do. That's one of the huge parts of their deck, is that they kind of can play on basics. Not that it really matters right now that they're playing on basics, because the meta is so fast that, like, yeah, you're not going to like get Eldrazi. Like, they're going to exile your lands regardless of whether they're basic. Okay, so here I'm able to Bowmaster. I can get a ping in. This is a bad matchup. I don't know why. This is generally a bad matchup, but Bowmasters is our best card in the matchup. Like, it's a bigger control deck. So I didn't expect to win against Jeskai, but the fact that they scooped so aggressively to Bowmasters told me they probably had a pretty bad hand, or a very cantrip-heavy hand without removal. This is another hand that we snap keep. Like, Hydroblast is really good 1-for-1 interaction. I'm going to show you how I boarded with this against Jeskai. I think I took out all my plows, and I took out the dazes, and I took out one of the wastelands instead of taking out, like, usually I'll take out like a basic island or something. I'm more worried about them having back to basics or Blood Moon than I am about them going after my mana. So color screwing me or like just keeping my permanents tapped. There wasn't really a lot to bring in other than when I take out my plows, usually I'll bring in Prismatic Endings against a control deck, and that's what I did against Beanstalk. I don't think the plows do a lot. Like, they could have. I'm pretty sure that they have Tamio in their deck, and they may have like a Triumph of St. Catherine, which I think is not a very good card, but some people like to play it. And yeah, I think that's the main thing, is like, I just brought in the PEs, and I brought in the Hydroblast, and I trimmed 1 wasteland and 4 plows. Okay, so let's get into the game. The best match is the last. I'm saving the very best for last, by the way. Not this match, but like the subsequent match where you're going to see Kaito absolutely solo somebody. So stay tuned. All right, here we take back to basics. I'm very happy to take back to basics since my hand is not set up well to deal with it. The rest of their hand was Teferi, fetches, and a force. So by taking that, like, they're going to have to pitch Teferi to force if they want to stop my Bowmasters. Bowmasters is insane against Teferi. They don't have anything to do. They just scoop. And I'm not sure why they scooped here, but like, they have nothing going on. They know I'm a Bowmasters deck. They know that I'm taking back to basics. So like, they can probably presume, I don't know. I don't know why they scooped, but yeah, it's kind of a bummer to like, because I think there was tons of game left to be played there. But as promised, this is the best match I played all week in between like working and stuff. Like, sometimes I don't have time to stream, but I'll still play a couple matches and then just maybe replay if they're interesting. And this is a very interesting match. My opponent is Empiricism, known lands player. I mulligan a hand that doesn't have a whole lot of good stuff. Oh, by the way, Empiricism says, hi, say hi to Fabi if he's watching on YouTube. So Fabi, if you're watching, Empiricism gives you a shout out. Okay, so we put back a redundant land. I like to keep a lot of lands against lands. I like to keep a lot of lands against lands, but 3 was a little much, and I did want to keep mainly action. So we've got a Tamio opener into Psychic Frog, which is great because Psychic Frog can often help flip Tamio as early as turn 3 without any cantrips. Okay, Exploration. Nothing we can do about this. I actually don't think Exploration is particularly scary. The card you always want to stop is Loam. And we don't have any good ways to stop Loam with this deck, unfortunately. We don't have Forced Negation. We have a Soul Surgical Extraction in the board, which I am definitely bringing in for game 2. Here's Frog. So, you know, like usually they don't necessarily have sweepers, but they have, okay, so this is pretty scary. They do have multiple constructs on their way. We do have a single plow, and we have the ability to recur that plow. So I'm going to plow here. And then I'll draw. What do I draw? I draw a land. That's not bad. So the option, I think we Undercity. We could play a second Psychic Frog. If second Psychic Frog, the ways they deal with like multiple frogs, obviously they can just keep putting out constructs and creating walls, and we have to exile stuff to draw. Surveil Land is going to be bad. We really do want to get it out of our hand. So I think looking at this hand, my instinct would be to play the Surveil Land and not play the second frog, but I may have played the second frog. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I cracked a clue actually to flip Tamio. That makes perfect sense. And this is going to be big enough to potentially kill Tamio here. They get, what do they get? Oh, they attempt to crop rot. You always force this, by the way. Like you always force crop rot. What they would have done is they did it with the search trigger on the stack. So they were sacrificing a land that was going to go away anyway. So that would have been tons of value for them. Lava Spur Boots. So they can attack here. They can't kill Tamio. Tamio debuffs. She drops to 1 loyalty. So yeah, that was a pretty good attack. And here, so this is an interesting situation. I draw a PE, I think. I draw it later. The Thoughtseize is obviously a brick. That can be pitched to Psychic Frog, and I probably should. So I'm going to plus Tamio, and then I'm going to probably attack and just see what I draw here. But I get a PE, and I decide to go after Lava Spur instead of the Construct. I think you could easily argue that the Construct is the higher priority here. And I think I did kind of make a suboptimal. Oh, yeah. I have to ponder, and that's when I find the Prismatic. Okay. And you saw Kaito in that pile. Kaito is very important. Okay. So I don't think you surveil this away. Like, I think about it for a minute, but like even with I surveilled it away. Okay. Knowing what I know from game 2, you're going to see that was most definitely a mistake. Kaito is insane against lands. I mean, it's like one of the best anti-lands cards that has ever been printed. That's not an exaggeration. You'll see why in a minute. I know I've been teasing that repeatedly. Okay, so I Prismatic End the boots, and my thinking is, they can just use the boots to equip the next one, and they can attack Tamio for even more. And it kind of like forces them to use this ability so they have enough power. Well, so they have enough power to kill Tamio. Because I know they'll get like 1 more artifact, and then they'll have 3 artifacts in play, and then they'll attack, and this will get debuffed. Yeah, so I do think it's actually correct to go after the boots here now that I've talked myself into it. Okay, so you go after the boots, and now they have to activate the Saga and create another construct if they want to be able to kill Tamio. So it does kind of like distract them for a turn, and sure enough, they do that. They get a Pithing Needle and name Frog. Not that big of a deal. Especially if I'm able to clear the path here. Plow is great. So I plow the one, and now I can attack in and draw a card, even if I can't buff it. And importantly, I do have Snapcaster, and I just get back a Ponder because I don't have double white. Otherwise, I would almost certainly just get rid of the construct here. So I do find a land, and I'm going to jam that, and still Thoughtseize is rotting in our hand. I think there's an argument where, like, if they're not playing on land, Thoughtseize probably does something, and maybe we should play it out here. And it looks like I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do that. What do they have in hand? Is this crop rotation? Yeah. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do to really avoid that. They have Dark Depths now. And Dark Depths is normally pretty good. They are going ahead and putting it in play, which is fine with me. And now I have a clean plow. They have all the life in the world, but I do have a clock. And they haven't found a Loam yet, which, again, they don't have any way to naturally find Loam. So Loam is an incredibly important card, but they don't really have a way to get it. I found a Wasteland, which is great. Like, they probably wish they'd Besage'd the Wasteland, But yeah, I found it and I'm happy to have it. And now I've got Bowmasters. I've got like so much pressure on board. And even with all that life, they have to be thinking like, okay, this person has prismatic ending. They have plows. Like, what are the odds I'm actually going to get a Merit Lage out there? Right. I think the odds are extremely low. And I've also like, you could definitely argue that I should have just wasted there to reduce their mana a little bit further, but I'm just putting stuff into play and just like beating them down. Like now I've got a lot of damage here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like it's like a 3-turn clock basically. So they scoop. All right, and then the big game. We're gonna end strong here with the big game. This is the big endorsement of Kaito living his best life. Okay, so this is a hand that we have to pitch. Note that Kaito was in both hands. And we're going to keep this and ponder, I think, is what we have to do. And this is dangerous because they are a 4-wasteland deck. They open exploration stage. So this could be a very short game. And I've already kind of like resigned myself, like I'm probably going to lose this game. Yeah, and I don't draw land, so I have to ponder. I find 3 lands, so that's very good. I want to put the Underground Sea in play so I don't have to crack it. And then I'll draw the other ones. So I think I didn't. I put, wait. Oh yeah, this is my only land for the turn. I didn't get a chance to play a land. Okay. So, I'm going to draw lots of lands. Okay. They have Crocus out and, notably we have the Baleful Strix into Kaito combo. Very Timmy of me, but like, I just really wanted to do this. So I get a card and next turn I'm going to Kaito and it's going to be glorious. Okay. They have Maze of Ith. Well, guess what? Kaito does not care about Maze of Ith. All it cares is, did a creature attack? Was it blocked? And it's not going to be blocked, obviously, if it's mazed. So they maze it, and then I'm like, cool. I learned how to do ninjutsu after screwing it up a few times and not being able to put it in. And I'm going to put in Kaito. We get the Baleful Strix back, and guess what? Kaito is attacking. The fact that they maze does not matter. Also note, even though he's a legendary creature, he has hexproof. At any time when your opponent would be able to Crocus him. And then he just reverts the Planeswalker on your opponent's turn. So, yeah, like we're doing a lot of damage. We draw some cards. And now Kaito's a Planeswalker. And you know what deck doesn't have a lot of creatures that can attack into a Planeswalker? Lands. Okay, we've got a snap, like a just really strong hand. Like this has everything we really want. And we even have a Wasteland now, so we can stop them from trying to combo us. Not that we really care because we would double... ending, I think like I just have like this embarrassment of riches. Why not go ahead and end their exploration? Here they're trying to do stuff, but like Kaito just keeps hitting and drawing cards. I don't care about Bog. Check this out. I'm gonna hit you again. Boom. And now I'm gonna surveil. Yeah, okay. like think about it. Like you're getting hit by this thing that is drawing cards and surveilling and doing all this stuff, and you're totally helpless. I feel really bad for Lance players that have to face this. And my opponent says, sad. They say, yeah, I was just reading the text. I'm like, wow, is Kaito really this good against lands? Yes. If you have a lands heavy meta like at your local legacy tournaments, put Kaito in your deck and just do what I'm doing. Like just completely clown them. And then I'm doing so much damage. They're like, yeah, like they're almost dead on board. And then, yeah, like we've got double force. We've got everything. We're flipping Tommy. I was just like, Kaito just completely carried us to victory. Now, could we have won if Kaito was, say, not a frog, but let's say Kaito was like a wasteland or Kaito was days or something. Like one of the cards we'd be playing in tempo. Probably. We probably would have won this game anyway. Look at our hand. But Kaito was absolutely devastating to our opponent. And yeah, maybe there's a world in which we'd lose this game if we don't have Kaito. But yeah, super fun card. I don't think it's super strong though. But like this, I just wanted to show you the full potential of Kaito before I put him back on my shelf. So he's in here. I might play some Kaito control again. Like certainly if the meta slows down, but I think he's a one of at most. And I think really you probably want to be playing ninjas type decks to be able to take advantage of ninjutsu. I just didn't find that many opportunities where it was free to bounce something back to my hand. Like even Tamio, like you have to pay a blue mana to redeploy her. And yes, she created a clue, but then, I think bouncing a Orcish Bowmasters back to hand, yeah, you're getting an extra ping, but it feels bad because it's like pretty mana efficient. I feel like maybe in order to make Kaito work, in defense of the guy who came in 9th, or it was like 11th, I think, in Eternal Weekend he was playing 2 Kaitos and he was not playing Wasteland. I am not brave enough to queue into MTGO League without Wasteland in my deck. Playing a single daze, I can get behind. I've done that before. I do think right now we need 4 dazes. But Teferi didn't really do a lot this league. The player who did the MTGO thing, or the Eternal Weekend thing with the Esper control, they were playing 1 Teferi, 2 Kaitos. And then the rest of the deck, like 2 Strix. For some reason, it's only showing 1 Strix, but there are actually 2 Strix. 2 Strix, 2 Bowmasters, 4 Frogs. And I think they were only playing 3 Tamio, which is just plain wrong. You got to play 4. And other than that, like, I think this is a pretty faithful recreation of their deck. It's just like, seasoned to my tastes. So I love this deck, and I think it might be better after Frog. Well, actually, after Frog gets banned, there's like certainly a lot less reason to play black. I don't plan to play black after Frog gets banned for a while. I don't think Bowmasters itself is a good enough reason. I hope that the meta slows down enough that we don't have to play 3 Thoughtseize. I'll probably be playing, some Jeskai creature deck or a Bant creature deck. Maybe straight blue-white will be viable. We'll see. But I don't think that I'm going to be playing a lot of Esper. But what I am going to do is I'm going to play the heck out of Esper Tempo. So look for more Esper Tempo leagues on this channel. I'm not sure what other decks I'm even going to play, because I think Esper Tempo is just like better than Blue-Black Tempo. Like I tried playing Blue-Black Tempo the other day, and it just did not feel nearly as powerful. Like Prismatic Ending is a phenomenal card, and people forget because it doesn't seem like it's that powerful of a card. But when you're playing a 3-color deck that includes white, you definitely want to be playing this, and you probably want to be playing 2. Like the number of just problematic cards like Vexing Baubles, like Carpet of Flowers. Like often this is removing opponents, like the Yggdrasil deck, the one that the Show and Tell. Like I've gotten rid of a lot of those with Prismatic Ending, and of course just really good against like Frogs, really good against Nethergoyfs, really good against Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, a lot of stuff. So I love the Esper combo. Like once they print a black card that they're not going to ban, like Psychic Frog, I am excited to play more Esper. But I am going to be playing a lot of Frog because I like Frog, and I don't think it's Frog's fault that it's getting banned. I think it's Entomb's fault. But I'm going to keep jamming as much as I can. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.